Welcome to the 2016 Tiny House Festival in Brattleboro, Vermont, the first one ever here. So there's a lot of tiny houses, and we're going to learn what a tiny house is and why do people want it. So come and check it out with me. What do you think about this festival so far?
It's been fun. We just got here, but it's cool to see the different styles going on. We saw kids climbing out of windows. It was
Are you thinking about having a tiny house or something?
Actually, we're thinking about renovating an old school bus or something so far, but just getting some ideas right now.
Nice. And why do you want to do that?
Just self-sufficient, mobile. I don't know, I just kind of like the idea.
And to travel. Easier to travel.
So this bus is my fiance and mine's brainchild. We bought it in Colorado back in September from a salvage yard where it had no motor, no axles or anything. It had been sitting on cinder blocks since the 60s. And we actually went to the salvage yard looking for a trailer to build a tiny house. And then we walked down this row of buses and it was all downhill from there. Our axle is mounted to the original chassis. The tongue comes out from the chassis, and same with the mounts for the back deck. We did all of the work ourselves except for the trailer fabrication. We did the bulk of the conversion in 2 months and then hit the road from Colorado back on January and traveled for 6 months and then ended up in Brattleboro where we've been for 3 months. And so we've been living in it for 9 months now.
Oh, well, welcome to Brattleboro.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love, as Mark was saying, I love what community forms around tiny houses, who is drawn to that, and what's possible. So what are the other types of occupations and community supports that end up rising up and joining together in order to make this possible?
Yeah, there's a couple things that the Tiny House Festival, I think, is pointing at. One is innovation in housing, and two, it's being creative around different ways of being expressive besides the old models. So that could also apply to food, for example, and food trucks, right? Or from farm to schools. There's all sorts of other creative community economic development things. I think Tiny House is a great example of that, right?
So the Tiny House Festival is really kind of it's a creative placemaking project, and it's tying in my own personal interest in housing, tiny houses, and my love for Brattleboro. There's 3 of us that are organizing it, and we really connected around how tiny houses are offering new solutions and new thinking around housing, which are being able to meet housing needs of a whole range of our citizens. I think we're getting pushed back from this whole bigger model of building. This is really specific square footage. This square footage has utility. It has, it's built for the individuals occupying it. So there's this personal connection to the house. It also, it won't cost that much to heat. It won't cost as much to build. The mobility of it, that we are flexible. We're a much more transient species, and you don't know where you're going to end up. The idea of building something permanent on the ground can sometimes not be the right choice. This is the first one, and clearly, by what we're seeing, there is no turning back.
Success!
Yes. So you can find Tiny House Fest Vermont on Facebook for the moment, and look for more. We're actually really interested in hosting more meaningful conversations around housing solutions, wastewater solutions, everything that's kind of connected, green building, really looking at all of the aspects of housing and what it means to inhabit housing as humans. So those conversations we're hoping to host all year round and in build up to the next festival.
All right, so that was the Tiny House first ever Brattleboro Festival. It was a success. It was, I saw hundreds of people walking by and about. I learned a lot of things, and I think there is a need for people to, live in smaller quarters and really more sustainable. This was the Tiny House Festival.